gives me a great pleasure to have this opportunity to present to you briefly about antimicrobial resistance and One Health. I'll touch base very briefly about the background and history, then the resistance itself, especially the profiles, the concept in details, and how do we link with the One Health and the way forward from the African and the global context. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go through the global health security agenda, the first agenda is about antimicrobial resistance. We are sitting here as One Health champions, stakeholders, and I'll try my level best to present in a manner which can be understood and easily interpreted by all of us. And to speak, I would like to take you back to in 1928 by Sir Alexander Fleming. Ladies and gentlemen, it was an accidental discovery. It did not work, and the target to come up with something that could fight bacteria. With this discovery, well documented that it was discovered in 1928, but other disciplines that have tried to map the challenges associated with the antimicrobial resistance, they realized that chemicals related to antibiotics that are highly used today could be traced back in African societies, in Sudan, 350 years AD. So it's not a new thing. By then, our fellows in Sudan were enjoying local beer, and basically, through historians, they have been able to find residues of tetracycline in the bones of our fellows that lived in those years. So it's not a new thing. We are dealing with chemicals, very useful, but as we are speaking today, they have developed resistance. And the simple, if you consider those pathogens following treatment, they die, but few will remain. And those that remain, following further treatment, some will die, but others will survive, and they remain resistant. They cannot respond to strategies targeting to kill them. So that is what we are discussing today. Ladies and gentlemen, the resistance that we are discussing today is not a new phenomenon, as I presented. The map I'm showing you right now in this figure, the discovery for penicillin was 1928. It was effectively used in 1941. A year later, the resistance was reported. So you can follow the figure here and you realize that some of the resistance existed for some drugs even before they were formally discovered and in place for wide use. It is a global challenge. So the World Health Organization and other organizations, they have been struggling for years to ensure that we can fight against antimicrobial resistance. It is a big challenge. It is now projected that by 2050, #1 killer in the world will be from resistance to antimicrobial agents. Pathogens will not be responding. In the map you see Serious challenge, again, will be in Africa, will be in Asia. There will be challenges in other parts of the world, but not as much as what will happen in Africa and Asia. At the same time today, if you recall what is happening regarding the emerging pandemic threats, the same zones are highly affected. This is showing on what will happen in 2050, and we must prepare. The #1 killer will be for antimicrobial resistance. What does it mean? This graph shows the One Health. Chemicals used to treat our animals. We use manure. Such chemicals can be released in water. Following the value chains, the production chains, such chemicals from animals can easily be transmitted to humans and vice versa. We see the transmission of chemicals from the environment to animals and the humans and so forth. That's why we are saying you cannot fight against antimicrobial resistance without considering and taking action through applications of One Health approach. The previous speaker presented about the demand, increased demand for animal-derived proteins, for example. In this figure, if you consider what is happening globally, but in the individual countries as well. In 1960, for example, consumption for roots and tubers, cereals, milk, meat, and eggs was almost at the same level. Today, ladies and gentlemen, you can see a rise in the amount of eggs that you are consuming, a rise in the amount of meat that you are consuming, a rise in milk of what you are consuming. The production systems that we have, especially smallholder, now the medium scale, we need intensification. What does it mean? More use of chemicals, because with intensification you face more challenges. Theoretically, well published that we must observe the withdrawal periods. We are not observing the withdrawal periods for economic reasons. Withdrawal periods of 7 days for an animal producing 30 liters of milk per day, it means a lot. And the small farmers cannot afford with the loans they are taking. Do we have alternatives? I'm not very sure. So that's where we are saying is a serious time that we discuss the AMR, and we are the one affected because of the intensification. You cannot run away from these facts. This slide gives a reflection on how the resistance develops. At the same time, you see two cycles, a cycle on animals and a cycle on human, well connected. CDC presented this very well, and they're saying if you are to intervene the antimicrobial resistance, you must target all nodes in the production and the value chains, and how the cycle in animals and the humans are connected. Why should we consider antimicrobial resistance? The golden age for discovery of antibiotics, indicated in blue in those bars, ended many years ago. You see the red, that is the time where we were cherishing and working hard with the synthetic chemistry and so forth. Is a big challenge that the rate of discovery of new antibiotics has slowed down and is expensive and difficult. So we need to preserve the prime chemicals that we have that can save our life and help us ensure that we produce optimally by using such chemicals wisely. I don't need to discuss about One Health, but you realize that we have disciplines. Then we have the 3 C's, targeting, efficiency, delivery of health services on how we can fight against antimicrobial resistance. This map again shows how these chemicals, the residues, but the resistant bacteria can flow from one source to another. What do we do? Today, we have the Global Action for Antimicrobial Resistance, put forward by WHO, specifically targeting what should be taking place in humans. The lesson we're getting here is that humans cannot work alone. They need animals, so we have the OIE with their strategies for animals, and FAO with the strategies on how best we can produce. What they are advocating here is about tripartite partnership, that one profession cannot work alone. If you follow the action packages and the strategies, they look almost similar. However, what they advocate is that there are issues that must be addressed by the human health experts, issues related to ethics and so forth, and they should be understood well by their fellows in animal health, but as well as those that are working from the production side. It's very well documented. The message here is they recognize, and we must recognize that health sub-disciplines exist. We should understand them and make sure that they are reflected to our strategies. Otherwise, WHO could come up with the action that they could work alone. They realize it cannot work. So it should be reflected to our strategies as well. If you think about surveillance, for example, you can plan it together. So human health, animal health, environmental health, you plan it together. Come up with the tools to help you do the surveillance. During the implementation, there are issues that must be implemented by disciplines on their own because of the ethical issues and so forth. However, the interpretation of the data and the utilization of the data should take the One Health approach. The overall goal is to ensure continuity of the ability of antimicrobials to treat and prevent infectious diseases with effective and safe medicines that are quality assured, used in a responsible way, and accessible to all who need. So the key messages about antibiotics and antimicrobial resistance with One Health is that antimicrobial resistance occurs when an organism evolves and develops resistance to an antimicrobial that should inhibit or destroy it. And number two, antimicrobial resistance is reducing the effectiveness of such chemicals to treat pathogens. It is happening now and it will continue to happen, and it's high time we should intervene. Few new antimicrobials are being developed, and the misuse, overuse, and inappropriate use, using models developed in other countries, should be observed and dealt with effectively. Stewardship is very important, and the One Health is a powerful tool to address AMR objectives and strategies. Thank you very much for listening.